Hello, welcome back to Power Up and Pride 2021. We are continuing our wonderful TurboGrafx 16 block with Lat Mackie, who's going to be playing Castlevania Rondo of Blood Maria only. I'm so excited for this.
How cool is this that we have a TurboGrafx 16 block going? It's so awesome.
It
And
is
hello,
wonderful.
everybody. Thanks, Scala, so much. And doing a great job. Folks, look at this. We are over $6,000 right now. What about if we get to 6,500? I'm just saying we are here for a great cause, and I am super excited to be showing off Castlevania Rondo of Blood. And before we get started, just a couple of things here to note. First of all, hello. Hope everyone's having a great day. But then secondly, the TurboGrafx 16 is kind of an interesting console, as Vonnie might have talked about during his run. We actually have turbo switches on our controller that were built and came with the console. So you'll see it at times that we're going to be using some strats that involve turning the turbo on. Not too much in this game, interestingly enough, but in other games on the system, it's all perfectly legal, perfectly valid. You can submit games to the leaderboard and runs that, and they're perfectly legal and valid. The Maria only category is kind of interesting because Maria is an unlockable character in this game, and she is awesome and horribly overpowered. Basically, the most powerful character in the game is Maria, and it's really cool that they made this. I think she's like 11 or 12 years old. This 12-year-old girl just be like the most powerful being in this game. It's really awesome. So super excited to play with you. I'm letting the opening title sequence here run just a little bit because it is an awesome opening title sequence. As you know, Castlevania is known for great music and great visuals and great gameplay, and this game is no different in that. This game it's after Castlevania 3, before Super Castlevania in the lore or the history of this game. So that being said, we are going to make it work here. Let's see. So my video is running, yes. Let's see. We losing it for a second? Oh no. So we're gonna try and tech support here a little bit. Let me know if you've got it, Kat, and I will. I won't start yet. So one of the things nice about doing the Maria only category is you don't have to play the intros and cutscene. You have to make that as part of your run. So we actually do start with the stage select, and you can start out. This is kind of a new game plus. As you notice, I've already 100% of the game, and we can start right there. I'm going to ask one more time before we get started. Kat, are we good to go? Oh. Okay, let's see what we can do here. I can start my stream again real quick if you want. Thank you for your patience as we work through some tech support here. Yeah, we're gonna take a quick. We're gonna move to the break screen really quick here so we can troubleshoot and get a tech support going here. We'll be right back.
All right, tech issues hopefully solved.
Should we try this again? Should we do like the entire intro now? Hello, everybody. My name's Lat Mackie. You're watching Power Up with Pride. Sorry, okay. Folks, we are going to get this thing started. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to count down. We actually start on taking control of the player because loading times on a CD game like this are quite variable. So I will try to cue us in here as best as I can to try to get this when we actually start. So here we go. I want to see the screen here. Probably like 3, 2, 1, go. And first things first is Maria has a lot of different kind of controls and mechanics she can do. You'll notice I'm shooting birds, as one tends to do when they're 11 years old, and also doing a lot of rolling, and that's because it's obviously a lot faster. If you remember, traditional Castlevania game has, typically a character who's using a whip, and moving a little bit slow and kind of, it can be a little bit challenging doing jumping and stuff like that. Maria is absolutely none of those things. She's like the complete antithesis of what a typical Castlevania character might be during this area. In this game, the main character is Richter. He's the person you'd have to play with to unlock this character. And I'm curious if that's one of the reasons, perhaps they created Maria, because it's so different than anything else we'd ever seen, like in a Castlevania up to this point, just with the way she rolls and moves. Although, I guess, what was it, Castlevania 2 or 3 had some of the changing mechanics and stuff like that. So we're already at the first boss, the first level. I'm going to concentrate here just a little bit so I can make sure I can get some special attacks on here. I'll show you here. So that attack there is kind of like doing a Hadouken in Street Fighter 2. And it's extremely powerful. It does quite a bit of damage. And and then at the end of every level, just like, in good old marathon fashion, we're going to have an orb here that we have to get. Here we go.
Orb.
And just like that, we're done with the first level.
Disco ball orb.
Orb.
So who is the other character who kind of like appears when Maria does her special Hadouken attack?
That's actually her. It's
Oh,
so
okay.
she's I guess she's flinging herself at the enemy type of thing. Because she's so powerful, she can just fling herself like that.
I have questions, but I have the feeling they're not going to be answered. I have a feeling the answer is because Castlevania.
Yes, exactly. Because that's the way the game says. So there's a really cool glitch here called the boat skip. And I'm gonna try to set it up properly. So give me just a second here as I'm gonna be abusing this turtle item as her special weapon. Oh no! Oh man, we just missed a little bit of it. But this is basically the most part of the boat skip. And what you can do is you can actually clip into where the game thinks you're exiting the wall. And the full glitch would be to walk on the water. I'm not going to be able to do that, but you'll see that the boat ferryman is all glitched out and everything. And that's abusing the sub item, which was a turtle, and then clipping into the wall, which I just missed by like pixels. So we got part of the skip, which still saves you a bunch of time. The boat looks totally fine, right? Nothing's weird. She's still shooting the birds out of her hands.
Yeah, this is all totally normal. This is what I expect to tune into on twitch.tv/powerpride on Saturday.
Well, this is probably one of the more... Feel free, by the Skull, you're doing great. If you want to jump in any time, I should have mentioned that before the run, so... Okay, so we are off to stage 3, and sometimes you'll notice the loading screens kind of vary, and that's because originally this game was a CD game, and I'm actually playing this on the original console, so we get a lot of that original CD loading goodness, especially from, I think TurboGrafx 16 might have been one of the first consoles ever with a CD unit, so times can be a little bit weird. This is one of the most challenging mini bosses ever, but thankfully with your item crash, you can just destroy like that. There's actually kind of a cool backup strat as well, where you actually clip into the hitbox of the boss there, but anyway, make easy work of it. And there are branching paths in this Castlevania game as well, so it's kind of cool. There's a lot of replay value if you're at all interested and haven't played this one. That is doing the Guardian Knuckle again. And one of the cool things about Maria as well is you notice I'm doing a lot of double jumps. Oh, geez. There we go. Playing it a little bit safe there. And the double jump can basically save you like in almost any situation that you're in. So if you're ever facing Death Maria, just press the jump button again. You'll be fine.
I'm digging this Castlevania life advice. Just double jump.
Yeah, just double jump. If anything ever happens.
Just double jump.
Oh, geez. So I was about to talk about how this pattern can be totally random, and it's living up to the hype right now. Okay, we actually got through it. So one of the things you may not notice right away, but if you start playing the game casually, or you really notice it as you start to speedrun the game, is that there is a fair amount of RNG. You just saw here, this pattern I got, never had that pattern before, completely random. And that happens a lot throughout the game. Even in many rooms, you might get a varying number of enemies that pop up. So the speedrun is super fun and really fun to learn, but it can be a bit frustrating, I guess, at times, because there are things that are out of your control at times, such as how many enemies are going to slow you down, things like that. And we're already off to the 4th level here. And I am changing up sub-weapons finally. We're going to continue with the bird theme here. You'll see here in just a sec that I've added some more birds to me in the form of a sub-weapon. Oh, no, come on, target it. Right there. I hope I don't die by all these crows. Oh no, I just did. Okay, well then, we're going to try that again.
The bird giveth and the bird taketh away.
Thankfully, the game is pretty generous on respawn locations, so. But as always, you got that double jump that can really save you as you're jumping around stairs and bottomless pits and things. There's actually, you'll notice a waterfall here. There's some really cool paths that you can take. This is one of the levels where you can. There's a whole level underneath this level that we're currently on. And unfortunately, the speedrun doesn't really take advantage of that. But if you're playing this casually, it's really fun to actually go back and play and do all these things. Ooh, invincibility. Never gotten that before. That's exciting. So here's one of those spots where I'm going to throw on the old turbo button. So instead of jumping, you just hold the controller down and you do the roll. But in a spot like this where we have to roll for quite a bit of time, I can just throw on the old turbo switch, hold it down, not have to mash, but give the thumbs a little bit of a break as we're going through this spot here. And just like that, we're going to be entering the boss's room here of this stage. I keep mentioning it, but Maria is just so quickly. She really just blasts through stages very fast because of that rolling mechanic. And because she's so overpowering. But I always get the bosses mixed up in this game. I think, is this one Dulhan? I forget which name is which name. People who know Castlevania a little better than I do probably could comment on that.
I mean, I know what a Dulhan is. So yeah, that's definitely a Dulhan.
Awesome.
That's just mythology knowledge, though. That's not Castlevania knowledge.
Dulhan's a mythological character. See, look at that. I'm learning something new every time. Okay.
Yeah.
Taking it a little bit safe there. You do notice that I will take damage at the end of levels, and I want to have my life meter down as low as possible because there is a life bonus if you have full health and all those kind of things. So as much as you can, this is actually the perfect amount of health you want at the end of one of these boss fights. Just a sliver.
Disco orb.
Orb. This is Dulhan. Okay. Confirmation in the chat. That's great. Yeah, Castlevania lore is based on real mythos. I think that is kind of thing, right? That's Okay, this is one of the more challenging stages of the speedrun itself. And you'll notice there's a lot of enemies in your way, and you can get varying levels of attacks and amount of enemies, especially later on in the stage. One of the things that I played through a lot of Castlevania games now. Oh geez. And one of the things that happens that never seems to go away as far as frustration goes is things that fly. And this game definitely lives up to that hype. The nice thing is you've got Maria, who just, kind of destroys things. But nonetheless, oh, wrong button. You have to kill that guy to continue on, so depending on how far that skeleton wants to run away. Ooh. And continuing to do a lot of that still Guardian Knuckle, her special weapon attack, because it's just so overpowering. You'll notice it does cause an animation that can be a bit slow because you do lose control of the character for a moment. And she is vulnerable. That's the whole idea. That's the one thing that Maria has going for her, is that she doesn't have as much, she can't take as many hits as Richter can. But in exchange for that, you get this extremely overpowered character. So this is the dragon sub-weapon. We haven't seen this one yet. And you'll notice what coming up here in a second, we're going to be facing Death. And Death, this is the probably, as far as we know it, it's the fastest sub-weapon for Death as a boss. Oops. One of the things, too, I'd like to mention is that if you notice that perhaps I jump in weird times, or maybe I spin when I didn't mean to spin, that's because, hang on a sec, let me play this here. Oops. The D-pad on the TurboGrafx 16, I don't know if Vonnie talks about this at all, but it can be a real challenge. I'm going to die here. There we go. We're going to do this one more time. The D-pad on the TurboGrafx 16 is really small. It almost it's tough to describe, but so the up and the down, left and right are all really close to each other. So if your thumb slips off even just like a millimeter one way or the other, a lot of times you'll get unintended inputs. And that is basically me just making an excuse for, not figuring out how to use a controller a little better, but there is a certain amount of truth to it. One more. Oh, two more. So there's 2 phases of death. That was the first phase. And I do want to take damage, but not damage that kills me. This is a second phase where he throws out those very scary skeleton heady things. And now we're on to the second part where you can actually hit him again. Can't hit him during the... And we're going to do some more Guardian Knuckles, try to take care of death. If you hit... if death touches you with that scythe, besides just doing some damage, it actually knocks you off the boat and it's like an instant death, so...
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Scala Kitty, something cracked Scala Kitty up there.
The scythe!
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. Okay, so stage 6 is super fun, especially if you know anything about the NES Castlevania, the original, back on the good old Nintendo Entertainment System. And we're going to have a boss rush here. But instead of, your typical play the level bosses over again, we're actually going to get a boss rush from original NES Castlevania, which is just like one of the coolest things ever. I'm going to have to pay attention on this first fight. It's a little bit tough, so... Oh, no. So, I'm totally drawing a blank on what the name of these bosses are from the first game, but if you know, feel free to shout them out. That's like the bat thing. I believe, is this Medusa? No, I can never remember their names. But that's the, definitely nice thing is you have Maria, so it's, you can get through them a lot easier, quicker than it was in Castlevania 1, let me tell you that. Here's Mummy. We won't see him for too long. I'm going to ignore that health because, once again, you don't want to get that health bonus. You want to keep the things moving fast as part of a speed run, so... Hey, and Frankenstein, goodbye. Okay, so now we face Shaft. Shaft is one of the only bosses in the game who can actually kill you with their final animation. So... It's the Mummy's monster. Oh, is it really, Emily? Okay, well, there we go. Look at that. Learning something new every day. At some point, I probably read about this or learned about it, but anybody, if you ask anybody, anytime I start speedrunning, my brain goes completely mush, so...
You forget everything but speedrunning.
Right. Must press button in time. Speedrunner's mantra. And just like that, Shaft is gone. You can, you now that we're 6 levels in, you can see that Maria just completely breaks this game. It's pretty awesome and overpowering how... And all that being said, she's super fun to play as a character as well. So if you're at all interested in playing through this game, and I do highly recommend it, it's available like everywhere nowadays. You can get it on PlayStation and virtual consoles and all that kind of stuff. It's really just a lot of fun. Okay, so we are on... This is the last actual stage we'll have. And I'm going to throw on the turbo switch here again, so I don't have to keep mashing. Because although there are some bats that can appear, bats with swords. Hopefully we get one, because they're kind of cool looking. But you just jump over. It's pretty easy. Anything? Oh, right there at the end. Oh, he's not having a sword. Oh, sad face. Well, typically they're holding a sword, but sometimes that does happen. But, this sword doesn't spawn. This is one of the more technical stages as far as platforming goes. A lot of jumping, a lot of avoiding enemies. Typical clock tower grind as you get in a lot of Castlevania games of this era. Ooh, we got the clip. That's good. You have to go up and down the clock tower. I can, as playing through all the original Castlevania games on the NES, the clock towers are notorious for being really brutal with Medusa heads and all this kind of stuff. What are the things with the birds and the knives? But as Maria, you can just avoid them all. No big deal. No thing at all. Oops. Gonna keep ammoing up. And this is for the N2 bosses we're about to face. Oops, what am I doing? Good old the clock jumps you don't have to worry about as Maria. Oh, you just skip them all. No big deal. And I'm going to switch sub-weapons one more time to the birds. Back to the birds and the bees. And we are off to a boss that is known as Chaps Ghost. And this one can really be a challenging one too as Richter. But there's some cool things you can do as Richter or as Maria that are kind of fun strats if you're just playing it casually. In the speed run here, we're going to shoot a lot of birds. There's going to be a lot of birds on screen right now, hopefully.
Many birds.
Yeah. Oops, gotta hit. Nobody. Oh. There we go. And you got to see the thing that comes out of the ground that has a name that I can't remember, but how cool was that? Okay.
Oh, it is really cool.
Just for good measure. Orb.
Yeah, I like ground friendo there.
Yeah.
They're big and scary.
Oh my gosh, Skull, I'm totally calling it ground friendo. That's awesome. That's a great idea. Okay, folks. Well, we're off to Dracula. And as far as personally, I don't think that this Dracula is challenging as some of the ones on NES. But it still does have some cool animation and, some cool voice stuff. But with birds, once again, birds just kind of destroy everything, so I'm trying not to get as much. The fastest you can get is a 3 cycle here on the first part of Dracula. And 4 cycles is typical what most speedrunners will get, especially as you're learning the game. So that was a 4 cycle on the first one. And then we have Cookie Monster, who has a name too, but everyone seems to just colloquially refer to Cookie Monster as the Cookie Monster, so... And once again, just birds, because birds are fast. There we go. Okay, gonna have time here coming up in just a second here. As soon as I touch the orb, that'll be time. Wait for it. Here it comes. Orb. That is it, time.
GG!
Well, folks, that's Castlevania Rondo of Blood and the TurboGrafx 16 CD game, if you will. And it's available many different places. If you're at all interested in the speed run of it, it's really fun. It's a great way to relive the game and to kind of play it in a different way, in a different fashion. A lot of cool tech around it. I appreciate you all letting me, giving me a chance here to show it off and to see some of the things around it. It's really fun to play mechanic-wise. Even the other categories of it as well. The main categories, the any percent, the 100%, are all really fun and present their own challenges. There is a wonderful cutscene here at the end. Unfortunately, it lasts like a minute or two, and I know we got other things to get onto as part of this TurboGrafx 16 block. But if I may, just for one moment while this is playing, the Trevor Project, what we're trying to raise money for here today, is such a good cause, and I personally... I am an ally, and I have had friends and family be personally affected by what the Trevor Project does. And I can't tell you how important it is if you are and able to donate for this wonderful cause to do so. Honestly, can't thank you enough. Join me and all the others who are making this thing happen. Even just watching the stream right now goes a long way to support this amazing and wonderful cause. And I just want to say how much I love and really support all the things that Power Up with Pride does. So thank you so much for letting me show off this game and supporting such a great cause. So thank you all. And you might see and hear me in just a moment here to keep this TurboGrafx 16 block going. So anyway, thank you so much. And that is Castlevania Rondo of Blood on the TurboGrafx 16.
Thank you so much for that. That was such a fun little run.
Thanks, God, kitty. Now we gotta get there. If we're still live, typical of Castlevania, the ending music is just absolutely ridiculous. It's in my opinion, it's not nearly what Symphony of the Night is, but it's pretty close. Okay, here we go. Maria has defeated the castle. Wait for it, folks. I don't even know what to say about this music. It is a thing. Can't help but laugh. I've heard this music 100 times and I still laugh at it.
I have been watching this without sound, so that way I don't have an echo of myself. But I had to go and hear that music, and I feel that my day has been greatly improved for doing so.
It's pretty wonderful, folks. It is pretty wonderful.
Oh, as we're wrapping up, though, we did have a donation come in that for you, from Junko, who says, "Howdy, Lathu Mackerel. It's Sean. You and M knocked it out of the park earlier. Time for your chance to shine. And remember, walking into Dracula's hitbox is not a great idea for continued survival. Embrace your inner dust stalks. Donation goes to Doom because Doom."
Thank you so much, Sean. Appreciate it. Thank you all. I'll see you back in just a moment.